Good evening, everybody. Are you able to hear my voice? Is it clear? Please type yes if it is clear. Okay, good evening, Hare Krishna. So I see so many students of our Bring Out the Best in You session joining us today. We have more than 78 right now and more joining us. So thank you so much for being part of this session and coming for this session every evening to bring out the best within you. So yesterday was the first day and today is the second day of this course. So we are doing the first module of this course, which is called Converting Stress into Smile. Okay, and yesterday we discussed a lot about what is stress and how to overcome stress. And today we'll be continuing this topic and with one very special guest, whom I'll be introducing to you very soon. So before we get into the topic, I'll just do a quick revision of what we did yesterday. So just in case somebody missed it, then you can just refresh your memory. And others who attended can also just refresh your memory with this. I'll just share the screen. So this is what we discussed yesterday, converting stress into smile. So I told you that how Arjuna was in stress in the beginning of battlefield of Kurukshetra. And after hearing Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna became stress-free. So that was one of the counseling sessions which was given by the Supreme Lord himself to Arjuna. And we also analyzed what is stress, a great worry caused by some difficult situation or something which is caused by because of change of environment around us. So that we discussed yesterday. And we also discussed what is the mechanism of stress. So in that we discussed what is the mechanism of the mind, how the mind functions, and we saw that in our physical body there are senses, and the senses give inputs to the mind, and the intelligence processes it, and then the intelligence make decisions based on what the stimulus it's getting through the senses. Okay, some of the stimulus may be threatening, and if the stimulus is threatening and if the intelligence understands the source of threat, then there is no stress. But if the source of stress is unknown, then it creates stress and there is corrective action which is taken. If corrective action is found, then there is no stress. And if the corrective action is not found, then it creates further stress. So that we discussed yesterday. Then we discussed probable causes of stress, work pressure, exam tension, relationship problems, health crisis, uncertainty, and ignorance of the truth. And all of you also give many, many points about what are the probable causes of stress. Then we also saw about what are the symptoms of stress on the physical level, emotional level, behavioral level, and also how Arjuna was in stress and what are the symptoms which Arjuna underwent. We saw from Bhagavad Gita how his lips were quivering, body was trembling, and Gandhi was slipping from his hand. So, and his head was reeling. So all those symptoms we could see. So then we also saw the concept of perceived threat. In the dreams, one may also see some tiger and all. And even in the boss, sometimes may not smile. So it's perceived as threat. How to overcome stress by leading a life of balance, which we just touched upon. And today, we will be studying more about this aspect of how to overcome stress by natural living. And then we saw the dashboard of life, physical quotient, physical, mental, emotional, and intellectual. So these are the four things to be balanced. And today we'll be seeing mostly physical aspect of balance and mental aspect of balance. Okay. So our guest speaker for today or special speaker for today will be emphasizing on these 2 points, physical and mental aspect of life. And then we gave a 21-day challenge, and many of you enthusiastically agreed to participate. Am I audible? Okay.
We've lost your screen sharing.
Okay, yeah. So we gave a 21-day challenge, meditation challenge of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. So what is the mantra? What are the benefits of mantra? And the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And we'll be seeing more about this mantra tomorrow, where we will be discussing about spiritual aspect of life quite a bit. So stay tuned for tomorrow also for this topic. And coming to today's session, which is day 2. So the session is on natural living, and it will be taken by one of our special guests, Sundarup Sham Prabhu. Sundarup Sham Prabhu is one of our very dear friends, and he'll be taking on this aspect of natural and healthy lifestyle, and he'll be covering these 3 topics: natural lifestyle, physical health, and mental health. So now I would like to invite Sundarup Sham Prabhu. Please come on the screen. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So he is a very dear friend, and just to give a brief introduction of Sundarup Sham Prabhu, he is an engineer, and he did his electronics engineering from RV College of Engineering about 20 years ago, and he was working in some of the top organizations like ERPNet and Intel Corporation for 15 to 16 years. He was working there. He was abroad in USA for those 15 years, and a couple of years back he came back to India and is settled in India in Bangalore. And he served as a business unit. He served in the organization as business unit manager and worked extensively in the areas of supply chains and business analytics. So that was his job profile when he was working in the company. And currently he is serving as secretary and a preacher at ISKCON Cultural Center, South Bangalore. And he is also well versed and trained in the aspects of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. He also gives a lot of seminars and sessions on Bhagavad Gita. So we thought, and he also has a farm. It's called Mother Earth's Farm, not very far from Bangalore, about 65 kilometers from here. And he's doing natural farming, and he also keeps cows and taking care of them. And it's just in the border of Tamil Nadu, in the forests of Tamil Nadu. They start there. So he's leading that center there, and he's trying to do organic farming as well as a lot of plantations of fruits and flowers and trees there. So I personally had visited that place, and it's very nicely coming up. And very soon we'll be getting nice fruits and flowers from there. Yeah, that's in Venkinikote. So that's his farm. And so I invite him today to speak on this topic of natural living. So he is already experienced in this, so I thought it is best for him to speak on this topic of health and natural living. Yeah, some of you have been there. Yes, we have gone for that a trip there. Hare Krishna. Over to you, Sundarup Sham Prabhu.
Dandavats Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachar Nirvisheshunyavadi Pascharta Desatarne Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, I welcome all of you. So I'm going to begin with a small slide share. So, 1 second. You're all able to see my screen?
Yes, we're able to see.
So I thank Swarna Gaur Hari Prabhu for giving me an opportunity to come and speak about some of these topics. So today, and we'll also thank the management of ICC to have made such sessions available for everyone for the overall welfare of the youth and the society. Youth today form the key component of the society. They are the future. They are the life for this entire community and the society that we live in. So if the youth are given this knowledge, the entire community can transform with positive vibrations over a period of time. And Suvarnagari Prabhu and his team are doing a wonderful job in focusing on this aspect of it. So my heartfelt thanks and gratitude to the entire team. So today we'll focus on this topic called natural and healthy lifestyle. So we'll try to cover 3 sections. I don't know. These topics are so wide and so deep. I don't know how much we can cover. But to start with, we will play a little bit of a video. It's just a 4-minute to 5-minute video. You see the video. It's just about, a place in Hungary. So it is one of the ISKCON's project under development of farm communities. You see how people are living, how happy they are, how wonderful life is. So can I just play it?
Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Okay, so you must have all seen this video. I hope all of you liked that video. So this video, if you look at it, really wonderfully captured. And importantly, there is a lot of happiness. There's a lot of contentment in the hearts of those devotees that you are seeing, right? So what's the root cause? What are one of the causes? So let's see some aspects of it today. So we will cover the 3 sections. The first section is called the natural lifestyle in the following format, right? We'll first talk about how cows and humans can coexist. Is it a must or not? Then we looked at what is balanced diet. Okay, how does a balanced diet help us to lead a very stress-free life? Then what's the benefit of sattvic food? So what is the definition of sattvic food, and then what's the benefit of having a sattvic food? Then of course, some of the fasting benefits, what happens when we fast, right? So generally people consider that food and philosophy are mutually exclusive. Food being something that nourishes the body, and philosophy is an activity of the brain and the heart. But Gita explains that they're all interconnected. Some food will enhance our satogunas, the stability, longevity, strength, disease-free body, and ability to grasp philosophy for life. So what we can understand out of this statement is that our lifestyle and the food that we consume play a big role in the state of mind. And the state of the mind is the one that energizes or nourishes us completely. That will define or determine the next stages of life. So these are one of the basic components of our lifestyle. Okay. So I'm trying to show the next slide here. The next slide is about cow and humans. They will have to coexist according to the Shastras. The Gita, it is said, Namo Brahmanaya Devaya, Go Brahmanaya Hitaya Cha, Jagadidhaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo. The meaning of the sloka in a very broader sense is that Krishna is lover of the cows, right? So when Lord Krishna loves the cows, has he differentiated this particular animal compared to others? And how he creates this animal as someone who is very friendly to the human beings. So we'll see these 4 dimensions, right? The first here on the left-hand side top, we can see we're doing called as farming activities. The cow helps the human beings with all the agricultural produce in farming and all other aspects, right? So you can see this picture. So many years, in ancient days, we've been practicing farming with cow as one of the major portions of it. In fact, those days, a measure of welfare of someone was done by the number of cows one's possess. That wonderful it was. So cow is not an ordinary animal. In fact, Srila Prabhupada always called cow as the mother of every living entity. So if you look at this left-hand side second, the blue color portion of this portion, you can see welfare, health, and support. So how cow plays a big role in the life of a farmer or a living entity. So you see this picture, it's a Gir cow. This Gir cow has got a hood, a hump on top, right? It's a nicely, beautifully shaped hump. So several people are asking this question, what is the purpose of this hump? A lot of them think that it is to store water, right? But actually, Vedic Shastra reveals a truth much greater than that. So what the hump does is, see, when the farmer or the person who's doing Gorakshak or who's taking care of that cow, when he comes and pets the animal nicely, there is a beautiful bonding relationship between that cow and the owner of that cow. So the cow actually becomes one of the family member of that farmer. So it is always concerned about the welfare because the farmer is concerned about the welfare of the cow. So when the farmer pets the cow, just by the farmer touching the hand, the palm on its body, it can understand what is the health issues that he undergoes. So once it understands the nature of the farmer, when he takes the cows for grazing, it eats those specific herbs. And the hump, what does it do? In physics also we've learned, any sharp object is a point of charge or discharge, right? So like that, this hump has the speciality that it can absorb, special energies from the sunlight, mix that energy with the herbs and things like that it has grazed, and it mixes that with the milk it produces. So just by the farmer taking care of this cow and drinking that milk, you see that his health improves, and even if he has a difficulty, he can easily cross over it. It's been told that we totally have 128 varieties of breeds, ancient India. But due to the rules of the Mughal emperor and then more severely by the English, English dominance over us, a lot of these breeds have gone out of existence. If I'm correct, I think we have only about 22 to 24 breeds available now. All others have gone. They are extinct. So there were certain breeds which can even cure cancer. Just by drinking the milk of that cow, cancer will be cured. That powerful these cows were. You see how cow is really worried about the welfare of the living entities. So it's a wonderful animal. And also you look at it, the third one, the yellow part, the third dimension, the right hand side top, it says several medicinal byproducts that are produced out of cow. So for example, cow urine, right? Go arc is consumed, it increases your metabolic activity. And also, you have the, defects in your body. If your liver and your stomach functions very well, those defects in the body can be corrected. And just by taking Go-Ark, you see all those things are very nicely resolved. And now you can go to even if you come to ISKCON temple, you can see so many of these Go Seva products. And they have a lot of medicinal value. And you come to the bottom where you can see a person is drinking milk, from the cow, nutritious milk and byproducts. So milk today is considered one of the topmost nutritious food that has been ever given to human beings. So you see, cow is acting like a mother. So from milk, you get so many byproducts. You get butter, you get cream, you get cheese, you get ghee. So in fact, ghee is supposed to be called as the topmost of all the byproduct. Just by regular consumption of ghee, you see all ailments of your body will be gone. Ghee also acts so wonderfully that it increases one's intelligence, right? So if you look at it in totality, how cow supports the life of a human being and how human being takes care of the cow, and both how they can coexist for the overall welfare of someone, right? So this is a very sattvic animal, very human-friendly animal, and it is always looking at the welfare of the human being. So we should always look at Indian native cows and consume products out of them, not from these hybrid cows and things like that, because they were laboratorically, genetically mutated to produce these hybrid cows. They produce more milk, but the nutritious value are not very high. So that's why nowadays you can see the people are aware of this, and the A2 milk concept is, very prominent today. People are ready to pay even 90 rupees, 100 rupees for a liter of milk and drink because of its nutritious value, right? So just by sticking on to such a wonderful life, you see our health increases, our health improves. What does the Bhagavad Gita say on the right hand side? It says, Bhagavad Gita is just like a cow, and Lord Krishna, who is famous as a cowherd boy, is milking this cow. See, he's narrating the Gita. So Arjuna is being nourished with that Gita, or just like how a cow nourishes a calf, right? So from Bhagavad Gita, you can understand so many of these concepts, that how Krishna gives these details and how those details can be applied to our day-to-day life. So you can keep your questions ready. So during the Q&A session, we can answer more and more and then get into these details. Okay. So now I'll go to the part 2 of that natural lifestyle. One is called as a balanced diet. It's very important for one to have a very balanced diet in day-to-day food that they consume, right? So in this picture, you see, it's very important to consume a balance of vitamins, minerals, proteins, carbohydrates, and fatty foods. So, in fatty foods, there are two kinds. One is HDL and one is called LDL, that is low density, and other is high density cholesterols. So consumption of high density cholesterol removes the bad cholesterol. Bad cholesterols are the one that causes increases in your blood pressure, causes heart diseases, and all sorts of stuff. So you can see, the benefits of having HDL. So, if you take milk products like paneer and all those things, it helps us in building a good HDL component. So automatically the LDL are being reduced, right? You see how a balanced diet helps one individual. We have the tendency to develop a taste towards carbohydrates because, especially carbohydrates are very nourishing to the tongue. But carbohydrates, though they are the source of energy, to help fuel your brain and kidneys, heart muscles, and nervous system. But that is, lots of energy that when not consumed or not used in the proper manner, they get converted into a different form, which causes disturbance to our body. So you need carbohydrates, but you need in a balanced level. So protein-rich food is very important. So, if you look at our Indian food and lifestyle, we see proteins are available in dals and all these things are very rich in proteins. And then consumption of protein-based food is in equal basis very important. They help build and repair tissues, and all other enzymes are being produced out of it, right? Then we also need minerals. Minerals are these fine elements like zinc, calcium, iron, and all these things. So they are very important for our bodily development. They also work on the cellular damage and things like that. So a lot of our vegetables that we have in our lifestyle, they give you all these minerals. And vitamins are, very, very important. They shore up your bones and heal wounds. And they, most importantly, they increase your immune system. So in fact, if you look at the current COVID problem, one of the things that the doctor advises, hey, start consuming more quantities of vitamin C and vitamin D, because they boost up your immune system to fight any virus or things like that comes. And vitamins are richly found in fruits, right? So if you look at it, nature has given all these things so wonderfully for us to be consuming all of them in a very balanced level. So if you consume very high in proteins but low on minerals and vitamins, you see that there is a difficulty with the body. There is some problem. It cannot adjust. So you should always have these foods in a very cyclic manner, in a regular manner, in a balanced manner, right? So we look at some more details about this balanced diet. So Krishna says in the Gita, 17.8, the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 17, text 8, he says, Ayu sattva balo arogya sukha priti vivardhanaha rashyaga signaha stira hridaya ahara sattvika priya. He says, foods dear to those in the mode of goodness increases the duration of one's life, right? Purify one's existence, gives strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. Such foods are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. You see, the Lord in this sloka, he's covered everything. He's talked about longevity. He's talking about good functioning of different organs of the body. He's talking about state of joy. He's talking about state of happiness. And he says, when food's consumed in the mode of sattvic, he says very contented. Someone will be very contented in this life. So it is important to have a balanced diet. The balanced diet will help us to achieve all these things. The diet must be balanced and also must be simple. So let's look at some of the finer aspects of how you can have a balanced diet, right? So, you can have, identify sources of food that are vegetarian and that have lots of these minerals, vitamins, carbohydrates in a healthy manner, and then consume them. You can have those portions. You can have a very nice chart. Hey, I will, for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner, right? And it's very important to consume a lot of fiber-based food, right? If you don't use fiber-based food, then you see we are getting prone to issues like, improper diet or improper controls of sugar levels and things like that. So fibrous food helps you to increase your metabolism. Okay. Srila Prabhupada always talked about how much we should eat. Okay. How much is good to eat? How much is less to eat, right? So he gave one simple formula. He said, one should always eat half the stomach level. The moment he finds a little signal, the stomach is giving that it is enough. Prabhupada said it should be avoided. Overeating should be avoided, right? So he gave a formula that 50% of your stomach should be filled with food, 25% with water, and 25% with air. So when we eat food, when we eat a particular lunch or a breakfast in this combination, you see that you always lead a healthy life. A stomach which is not stressed will nourish all the organs of the body. See, you can understand stomach like a wet grinder, right? So what does a wet grinder do? It grinds the food and it gives you the paste or whatever it may be. But let's say you don't pour water into the grinder at all. Then can it grind? It cannot grind. It will be dry and it'll get stuck up. Let's say you pour excess water into it. Then you see it's grinding all the time, but it's not able to do the job. So it is very important to understand that the balance should be achieved in every aspect of it, right? Okay, now coming to other aspects of, having breakfast, people have this habit of, diet control, I'm eating too much, I'm eating less. So, it is a good practice to always have a balanced diet at every meal that we consume. But most importantly, you can skip your lunch, but you should never skip your breakfast, because it's called break fast. You're fasting from a break that you took over the night. So the metabolism activity is really looking for energy of the food. If you don't have your breakfast, then it immediately breaks the metabolic rate. The metabolic rate breaks, then you see that sometimes you're energetic, sometimes you have a different mood, sometimes you have different, feel of the whole body. So those are the ones that are cause of the breakfast. Things like baked food products, right? Like your cakes, like your pastries, like your pizza, things like that. They are good for your taste. They nourish your tongue, but they're not good for the body. Okay, so in Ayurvedic lifestyle, it is generally recommended that baked food products must be avoided. Of course, once a while we could have, but by following such lifestyles, we will see that our health is always strong, always in the improving mode. A good stomach, a good balanced diet is sure to give someone a full cycle of that life. For example, in Kali Yuga, it is told one can live up to 120 years. So this component can help one reach that 120 years of life very nicely. So we'll go to the next slide. This is called Sattvic lifestyle. So the heading I've called as Karanam Gunasangasya. So what is Sattvic lifestyle? Sattvic means having a lifestyle mode of goodness. Okay. Prabhupada always gave this example to us that when an iron rod is kept in fire over a period of time, the iron rod also becomes heated, red hot, and also becomes fire. So like that, it is very important that what we associate with in our day-to-day life. What we associate, that is exactly the same modes that we get into. If we associate with ignorance all the time, then we will also have the ignorance moods in our day-to-day life, right? So for example, if I go to eat food that is always in the mode of ignorance. So mode of ignorance foods are like alcohol-based, or modes of ignorance food are like extreme spice, stale food. So these are called modes of ignorance, or pre-packed food. See, for example, today's lifestyle is we all eat food that is prepared in factories and packaged and brought to us, right? Due to lifestyle, we don't have time. We just open it and eat it and run. But what is in it in that food? Just a small example. Now you prepare some, let's say, uppit, or you prepare some dish in your kitchen. You can see that the life of the dish is about 4 to 5 hours, or maybe 8 hours. That's it. By evening, it's stale already. You'll get a smell, foul smell. Then how is that these packaged foods are 3 months, 6 months, and then still they are being consumed? Because they add so much of chemicals into it. So by adding those chemicals and preservatives, they're able to give us the shelf life of 3 months and 6 months. But chemicals and these preservatives are very harmful for our body. Today or tomorrow, they are going to cause difficulties to the entire digestive system. Right? So the first thing is we should avoid these factory prepared food, rather than we should rely on freshly prepared homegrown food, right? And consume them. Another important aspect is we should always eat naturally grown food that are not hybrid in nature. So today, with the advancement in science and technology, they use a lot of this mutation. They genetically change the nature. So for example, I'll take an example of a tomato. If you go recollect, or maybe you can go and ask your father and your mother when they were young, how was tomatoes? Tomatoes, the skin used to be very thin, right? And that was the nature of those tomatoes. Now today, these farm tomatoes and genetically modified tomatoes, if you see, cut them, the skin is so thick. It is done in order to increase the shelf life of the tomatoes. So like that, if you see, most of these foods have become hybrid in nature. Like for example, brinjal, you have this BT brinjal, biologically mutated and modified. So these are not, good for our lifestyle. So we should always consume food that are naturally grown, right? Today you can buy these naturally grown foods. A lot of people are aware of it. They get these organic foods, and organic stores have come. So you can try to go buy from them. The other aspect of that is these foods are grown naturally without any application of pests and chemicals, right? So these pests and chemicals, when they can kill an insect, imagine the damage that they can cause to your stomach, right? So we should consume food that are naturally grown, and importantly, without application of chemicals. And even these rice, pulses, and dals, what they use something called as fumigation. They fumigate it so that the insects don't come. So those again cause a lot of damage to us, right? Another important aspect of eating food is we should always consume food according to the season, right? So season is, if you see, a lot of fruits are genetically modified to be produced around the year. But those days, we had mangoes in the summer, we had watermelon in the summer, we had other fruits and other. There are some fruits that were around the year, but with the change of all these things, every food is available all the time. So we should always consume food according to that season, right? So what Krishna says in the Gita is sattvic food nourishes the body, mind, and soul. If we eat food that are in mode of goodness, our consciousness also will be in mode of goodness. If we eat food that are in ignorance, our conscious also will be in ignorance. Also our lifestyle. So for example, Ayurvedic Shastra says when the sun is present, we should eat. When the sunset has happened, then our eating should almost drastically reduce to zero. Maybe a little bit you can consume. So that's why it's good to eat prasad before sunset or around the sunset. Cold foods, we have the habit of eating cold foods, especially after lunch or dinner. So when you have a heavy meal, there's so much of fire, the agni is produced in the stomach in order to digest them. But when you follow through with a cold water or with an ice cream, immediately the agni is lost and it causes indigestion. And you see, someone produces more fat in his body or produces tummy and all those things. Last but not the least, which is the most important, is you should always eat food. You should be fully aware of what are you eating. You should have full focus on what are you eating, and you should love what are you eating, because it directly has a connection to your consciousness. There are certain videos of Prabhupada I don't have time here to show. I can show you how Prabhupada used to eat. He will never get disturbed while eating. He'll completely focused on the food that is eaten. One is, of course, it is Krishna Prasad, because it's sanctified. It nourishes one's. So it is very important to follow these things. But today's life, what has happened? People, when they eat, they watch computers, newspapers, cell phone. They talk to each other. They don't focus on the food that they're eating. You're eating just for 15 minutes. You should focus on what you're eating. And you should know how much you're eating. It's very important. So these are the important aspects of sattvic lifestyles. I'm just covering at a very surface level. The depth is so much that we can keep going about this. But in the next opportunity, we can do more details. Okay, now I'm coming to the second dimension of healthy lifestyle, which has got good physical health. So some of the things are mentioned about a good lifestyle is sleep early and get up early. And it's very important to follow this pattern at all times. When we follow this pattern all times, you see that the body is very stable. The mind is very stable. What is the benefit of getting up in the morning like 4 a.m. or something like that and then doing it? So 4 a.m. is such a time in the mode of goodness that nourishes the mind. For devotees, they practice a lot of meditation during that time. For people who are yoga practitioners, they do exercise at this time. Half an hour exercise in the morning will help them to be full of energy the whole day. That's the power of this exercise, right? So it is important to be an early bird, get up in the morning early and sleep early in the night, so that your cycles of 6 to 8 hours of sleep is not disturbed, but just that you're changing cycles, right? But today's lifestyle has been very difficult, where people work in late nights and come late in the evening. Once a while is fine, but on a regular lifestyle, you should follow this. Then you see your body can face any disease that are there in this world around us. Regular practice of yoga and pranayama are a must for one to live a healthy lifestyle. Yoga keeps the body flexible. It ensures the functions of the organs are very well regenerated. Pranayama helps in mind control. So very simple, let's look at correlation between pranayama and the mind. When the mind is worked out, right? Let's say you're in anger, you're intense, you're stressed. You see your breathing cycles go up. But what pranayama does, it controls the breathing cycle. That means in turn, we are trying to control the mind, not to get stressed, not to get agitated. So they go hand in hand, and pranayama is a great tool for mind control. Right? So we should have good exercise in the morning for 30 minutes, followed by a walk. And also we should follow through with enough amount of work. So that way you see your body is fit, not just today, even after 50 years, 60 years, 80 years. Medicines are a big problem today. We have so many kinds of medicines. We have allopathic, we have Ayurvedic, we have homeopathic. Then so many combinations and formulas of these medicines. One of the major things that Ayurveda suggests is about medicines. You should allow the body to naturally heal for all your simple problems. Let's say a simple problem like headache, you got some fever, some body pain, some sore throat, etc., etc. Body has an excellent defense mechanism to regenerate itself, to come back, to become healthy. So when it gets fever, that means it's trying to repair some aspect of the body. So we should allow it to do natural healing. If we push it harder, then we'll have difficulties, right? So consumption of medicine must be very restricted, and we should not use medicine for anything and everything. By allowing the body to naturally heal, you see that the body is getting stronger into the immune system as well as in the other systems also. Overall, by following these aspects, we'll see that we'll have a very good physical health. That's the goal of one of the goals of our life. Good physical and health. Good food leads to good physical life. Physical life leads to good mental life. And that mental life will make your overall goal of your life very successful. So now we'll spend some time talking about mental health, right? I'll just skip this slide. We'll go to the next slide. There are 3 dimensions that I want to talk about mental health. Mental health is the root cause of both success and failure. The good mental health makes one to be very confident in life. If the mind functions very well, you see the body is also in a healthy condition. A simple example, let's say you're in sadness, you can't even eat. Let's say you're in extreme sadness, you try to touch your body muscles, they are also going to be very soft and saggy because they can't get the strength. So mind is the root cause of the body to function nicely. There are many aspects that we can talk about the mind, but today I'll just talk about these 3 dimensions: willpower, self-control, and positive thinking. Right? Let's say, what is willpower? It is the motivation to exercise one's willingness or desire. Okay. So, which means what? So, for example, I want to do a particular act. Based on past impressions and events, the mind resists that action. Once the mind resists that action, we can see that you are procrastinating your activity or your duty. There's no willpower to do it, to cross your mind. So, mind often uses these patterns based on past interest and always resists the change that we want to do. So we can adopt certain workaround methods so that we can induce the mind to accept that change. We often say, practice makes a man perfect. So what is that practice? This practice is telling the mind again and again, I know that you're not interested, but we have to do this. That's what is practice. So repetitive actions on the mind to achieve the same thing will give you desired results, right? So for example, let's say you want to learn music. We see the mind resist a change. You can't learn music because there's no interest. But by giving exposure to the mind about music in different dimensions, you can see that the mind slowly accepts the music and is all able to learn. So ability to bring in that change is that willpower. How will one can increase their willpower is the key now. If one is able to increase the willpower, then we can see we can easily work around the mind. So meditation is one of the greatest root cause or the source of willpower and self-control. You meditate on something that is supreme to you. You don't meditate on something that is inferior to you. So let's say you meditate on Supreme Lord Krishna. In Kali Yuga, it is recommended to meditate on the Supreme Lord by calling out his names. Oh my Lord, I'm trying to meditate on you. Because he's the supreme energy, and that energy is much, much higher in nature compared to the material nature. It gives you that special power. Self-control is automatically achieved. Let me give you an example. When Srila Prabhupada went to the West, there were a lot of people who were called as the hippie culture. They were following this culture of, getting habits towards drugs and unwanted things. America was having a big problem. How do you even solve them? They were trying medicines. They were trying to do some electric treatment. Nothing worked. They were not able to succeed. There was a big problem. So when Prabhupada talked about chanting the names of the Lord, the mind achieved what is called a self-control. And very easily, he was able to convert those hippies into wonderful personalities. So there are two aspects of what is called as a consciousness and subconsciousness. See, consciousness is something that it relates with events, situations to the outside world on a continuous basis. But when there is an event that is ghastly in nature, or when there is a very strong event that is very impactful, all these events, they forms something called as impressions on the subconsciousness. These subconsciousness, they are the one that hold all these events in the form of impressions. But when the situation or the impression is very strong, these events come out over a period of time and they reflect on the person's nature. So for example, let's say a habit. That habit is so deep-rooted, it cannot be taken out. If you talk to him, he's saying, okay, I will stop this habit, but he's unable to stop because the subconscious is coming out of it. So that's how the conscious and the subconscious works. So how do you go and work at the subconscious level? Today there are mechanisms like psychiatry, and then they work on the subconscious and then they try to solve the problem. But what they can do is only at the surface level and scratch level. Just by taking the shelter of the divine energy, by the mercy of the divine energy, we can see these negative impressions at the subconscious level are eradicated. When they're eradicated, automatically you see there's only positive vibes in the subconscious, and that reflects on the personality. You can see so many of these advanced sadhus, people who are meditative, you see these devotees. How come they're always cherished? They're very pleasant. They may not have much in their life, but they're very happy. That's because they're always taking shelter of the Supreme Lord to cleanse the negative energy at the subconscious level. So that's the power of, the spiritual connect on this whole thing, right? So, if I put it in a nutshell, we need to endeavor for these things. This endeavor can come with knowledge, right? Once you get an endeavor, you'll be able to enhance yourself. You get the tinge of the taste of it, then you start to practice it. Hey, I want to practice this on a regular basis. I want to practice my meditation. I want to practice my yoga. I want to practice mind control. So by the combination of this meditation practice, we are seeking the mercy of the divine energy. Help me to get rid of all these things. So by the mercy of the divine energy, you can see that the negative flow of energy is removed in your hearts and you become a wonderful personality by yourself. Your life will be just glorious. That's the power of spiritual science. So hence, the spiritual science becomes the root of all these things. You can achieve excellent positive thinking, fully self-controlled. You don't lose your temper at any point in time, and you're the greatest willpower. That's the power of mental health. These subjects are very deep, but I'm just going at the level because the time we have is just 45 minutes or 50 minutes, and I'm already running out of time. Right? So this is a picture which says a fatigued mind versus a joyful mind. The joyful mind is represented by green, fatigued mind represented by dark color. Okay, so let's take a summary of this whole thing. Before we take the summary, I want to narrate a short story which will help you to understand how all these things are getting interconnected. Right? I want to tell a story of a woodcutter called a lumberjack. So this woodcutter has been employed by a company to cut logs of wood every day. So what does he do? He takes his axe and keeps cutting this wood every day. He continuously cuts for the 8 hours of time. And then over a period of time, the company observed that in the first month he was doing like 10 logs of wood. In the second month it came to 8. And then finally in the third or fourth month it came to like 2 to 3 logs a day. That's it. So the company thought maybe we should hire another person. So they hired another experienced woodcutter into the company. So when this experienced woodcutter came, the company saw over a period of 3 to 4 months, this second woodcutter was always cutting the same amount of wood and without declining in his efficiencies. So the company was very happy with him. The first woodcutter was wondering, I'm also working 8 hours. He's also working 8 hours. Why is that my levels of ability to produce has come down? What is the problem? So he goes to the second woodcutter and asks him, what is the mistake? So the woodcutter is telling him, the problem with you is you're not taking breaks and you're not sharpening your tools. So since you don't sharpen your tools, the tools are blunt and then you're trying to push more energy to cut the same amount of wood, but it cannot, hence your productivity has come down. And you also become fatigued and weak. So similarly, the mind works in the same way. A balanced diet, enough amount of sleep, the correct level of sleep, correct aspects of subjecting ourselves to meditation and other things will automatically cleanse your mind, will nourish your mind on a regular basis. So that's why it's recommended that connect on the platform spirituality. Yoga practices on a daily basis are very important. So when we do this, we see that not just today, even after 20 years, even after 40 years, you will remain young in your heart. That's the real meaning of being young at heart. Right? So Krishna says in the Gita 6.35, Ashamshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyashena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha Griyate. He says, it is, O Kunti, O Arjuna, son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult. By practice and by detachment, you can achieve it. So Krishna is giving the way to Arjuna how to easily achieve mind control. So we'll just summarize this entire session. If you look at this picture, endeavor and persistence are the key for one's success. What is endeavor? First of all, we should have that interest. Yes, I want to do something like this. I want to have a healthy lifestyle. I want to have a healthy mind control on all these things. Then persistence. It's not just having the interest and say, okay, next day it fades away. Okay, chalo, yeah, no problem. No, persistence is refocusing on it again and again. So that's the root cause of this. So once that is achieved, then you can see what are the components of natural lifestyle, good nutritious health, follow through with daily good exercise and walking. You don't need to go to the gym to do those kind of, there's English models of exercise. Simple yogasana and pranayama will give you greatest fitness. Both becomes the ingredients to form what is called as an excellent mental fitness. the power of meditation, the chanting of the holy names, connecting on the platform of spirituality will give you increased willpower, positive thinking, self-control. All these together, wonderful, joyful life. You never need to visit a doctor in your life, right? So I would end my presentation here. If there are any questions, I'm ready to take. I hope you all enjoyed this presentation, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Sampu, for giving wonderful insights into natural living. I hope all of you liked it and it was helpful. So please type if it was helpful to you and you could take home some very valuable inputs from this session. So thank you so much. So before we end for today, so we are already running out of time. So just take one single poll on how was your 21-day challenge today. I'm launching a poll. Can you please type whether if you're able to chant 5 minutes today? Okay, there's a lot of polls coming in. Very happy to see. Okay, 68% have voted till now. Okay, more than 50% of you were able to do. Very nice. Very happy to see. And some of you are going to do after this session. That's very nice. So just sit in a calm place. Don't think of anything else. Just chant Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We're getting a comment here from Kush Gupta that he did 20 minutes today. That's wonderful. And some of them have done. Some of them are going to do. So it's very wonderful. Keep this 21-day challenge going on. So it's very, very important. Some have done 45 minutes. Wonderful. Karthik Gula is telling 45 minutes. So thank you. So we'll be sending one sheet in the Telegram where you can fill. There is an automated sheet. You just have to select your name and say, yes, I have done it for today. So that software will be tracking it for next 21 days. And those who are able to do it every day for 21 days will get some special appreciation at the end of 21 days. Okay. So thank you one and all. And before we end, there are some questions coming. Yes, we'll surely take some questions now. Yesterday also I took questions after the session for about 10-15 minutes. We thought, so till 7 o'clock we'll do the session, and after that we will have some question answers. So we have ended the polling. So here are the results. So these are the results till now for today. 65 have chanted today, 33 are going to do after this session, and 14 are not yet, and I think they are going to do. So
Online polling.
Thank you. And tomorrow we are going to do something interesting. Tomorrow we are going to have different groups formed, and in order to have that grouping, we would like to have certain kind of statistics coming from you. One way of doing grouping is we'll assign you roll numbers, and any roll number starting with 1 will be in one group, with 2 will be in another group. Like this, we're going to have about 6 teams and 6 facilitators. Or if you can sign in through Zoom, you have to make a account in Zoom and log into this meeting through that Zoom, and Zoom will automatically segregate us into groups. I just wanted to know which is more convenient for all of you. You can just change. First option is Zoom sign in, where you have to create an account and then log in through Zoom. And second option is we'll just give a ID, and while entering into this meeting, you have to put the roll number in the beginning, and then your name, your roll number, and then name. So then accordingly we'll be able to make you into groups, and that will be based upon your age. Younger people in one group, more senior people in another group. So that's what we're planning. Okay, most of you are preferring to have a roll number, so I think that's what we will go with. Everybody please vote. Okay, 100 of you voted, 103 voted, so 104 voted. Okay, so I think most of you voted. So this is the result. So 64% of think that roll number is better. So we will follow that method because we want it to be user friendly. So whatever is convenient to most of you, that's what we will be following. So by today night or tomorrow morning, our team will be sending you your roll numbers in the Telegram. So you can, while logging in tomorrow to this meeting, instead of your name, in front of your name, just put that number. That's sufficient, and then the Zoom will take care of allocating into different rooms. Okay. Okay. So thank you so much. So now there are some questions coming there in the chat. Sundarup Shampoo, would you like to take some questions?
Yeah, I'll open my chat.
Chat. So we have officially ended the meeting now. So those who have questions and want to ask questions, you can stay back and have some question answers. And those who have some engagements, you can leave and maybe you can watch the recording also. It will be uploaded on the YouTube. So there is a question here. Okay, let's go first. Are you able to see?
Share this beautiful video on Telegram. Okay, we'll share. No problem. Then amazing. Many foreigners are also appreciating our Indian culture. Yeah, you should go to the West. You should go to Russia. You should go to Hungary. You'll see phenomenally people have taken this culture. In fact, some of these places have exceeded, the way we do it. So, we have to learn from them also. So it's phenomenal. And you get a chance, you can go visit these places also and see how they're doing it actually. You can stay with them and you can experience and practice those things. Okay. Are all accepting the principles. Yeah, so our culture and traditions are following by other countries with accepting all the principles because they saw value in it. Anywhere you see a value in it, you'll see that people are getting attracted. That's the point to understand. So they saw value in it, they realized it, so they took it very seriously. Okay. Prabhu, can you share something about omega-3? So omega-3 are found enriched in dry fruits. You can consume flax seeds. Flax seeds are excellent aspects of omega-3. And the way you can consume omega-3, you can use chia seeds also. So you can just have these flax seeds marinate in water overnight, and the next day morning you can have them in an empty stomach, and you see there is a significant improvement in your health. So that's very good, flax seeds and chia seeds. And nuts, you can restrict yourself to badam and walnuts and maybe to pine nuts, because the other nuts like cashew and pista, they would give you fat and they will also increase your acidity. So you can avoid cashews and things like that. Okay. What is the ideal calculation of water? So it's like this. So, you can have a small consumption of water before you start your meal. And after you consume your entire meal, you can have 1 to 1.5 glasses of water. That is good enough. In a day, if you look at it, several doctors prescribe several quantities. Some of them, they say you need 6 liters, some say 4 liters, etc. But the thing is, what Ayurveda says is, do not allow dehydration to happen to your body. Okay. So if you feel that you're feeling dryness, go consume that water. And the best way to start the day is get up in the morning and start with a cup of hot water, right? Not very hot, let's say reasonably hot. And that will see that all the ailments in your body is actually solved by that habit, right? So that's about hot water. Then what are the indication made by the stomach? Question is not clear. What are the indication made by the stomach? So I can probably understand the question something like this. When you're eating food, that when you feel heavy, the first sign of heaviness, you stop eating for the food. That's one aspect. The second aspect is certain food are allergic to us. So when we understand it, we automatically stop those foods. We need to be very conscious about our body. The third is you may continue to see how the behavior is. Sometimes it may cause acidity, sometimes it cause burps. So that means those are the foods that the stomach is trying to give you a message. So these are the indications that you can measure for, right? Okay, Prabhuji, what about doing fast? Fasting is excellent. Don't try to do fast very often. The Ayurvedic methods of recommended fasting is once or maximum twice a month. So what you can do is you can take a smaller portion of lighter foods on the fast days, right? Don't take heavy foods, fatty foods on fasting days. On a very, very light note, food you can take. So what happens is the body regenerates periodically. It does what is called as internal repairs. So this fasting on the days is the when the body doesn't depend on the food for carbohydrates and energy. In turn, it depends on the fat in your body and try to consume energy out of that. So that way you see fasting really helps to keep your body fit, right? Okay. Is this important to break a fast at a particular time? Can break a fast, breakfast very. Okay, so we follow the Vedic system. According to Vedic system, we have a fast breaking time. It is generally calculated around the time of sunrise. So, we have that system to follow. And, I don't know particular time, meaning, so generally in the morning is how you can break your fast. Okay. Then tweet sounds are coming. Okay. Okay, so next question. Is it good to fast once a week? So I answered that. So fasting once or twice a month is good enough and not more than that. Okay. Then fast on Ekadasi is good because it has two benefits. One is it gives you spiritual benefit. It also gives you health benefits. So please fast on Ekadasis. Okay. Protein supplements harmful to the body. What are the other alternatives for it? So proteins are required to a particular level. So you can do what is called as a lipid test for your body. And that will tell you how much is your vitamins, how much is your minerals, how much is all these things. So sometimes the food that we consume may not have enough proteins. So you can consult the doctor and you can increase your protein levels. The best way of consuming protein is to go the natural way. That means consume more dal-based foods. If it is still not helping, under such conditions, you can have supplements. Okay. Daily according to body weight, I think we answered that. Okay, where we can learn pranayama. There is also a certain websites on YouTube that I've seen. These are by professionals. They have put all the postures of pranayama. They also practice along with you. You can try that. Otherwise, you can search on the internet for some good pranayama teachers. But go for experienced teachers. Don't go for neophyte teachers because they won't know. Experienced teachers will teach you exact methods how to do your pranayama. Okay. Can you explain, share the best time of taking all the meals? 3 meals. So the morning meal is good to take as early as possible, like 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, whatever it may be, if you're going to do that. Lunch meal is flexible. You can do anytime between 12 to 3, but the evening, try to finish it between 6 to 7. And the evening meal should be light and should be lighter in food, lesser in quantity. Okay. And no cold foods in the evening. If you want to take cold foods, it should be post the breakfast and the lunch intermittent time, or post lunch and evening intermittent time. So after evening, no cold foods at any cost. Okay. Then amazing, just input on fasting. Okay, sharpening. Okay, I think we answered through the presentation. How do you remove negative thinking from the mind? So the very simple way is always associate with positive thoughts. Negatives don't have space in it, right? So if you keep associating with negative thoughts, then we have problems. So for example, the novels and the books you read, the things that you watch, the persons you associate with, the topics that you discuss and talk, all these things matter. Everything induces negative energy. So if you're conscious about what am I doing, what am I eating, how am I spending my day, everything causes negative energy. You can easily work through this very nicely. Share the best time of taking all 3 meals. Okay. Okay, how to balance fast such as Chaturmasya and health. So Chaturmasya fasting is not really fasting because in the 4 months, the first month you don't take greens, that's all. The second month you don't take curds, yogurt. Third month you don't take milk, and fourth month you don't take urad dal. So apart from that, you can have all of them. So Chaturmasya fasting is not really fasting. It is just refraining from certain foodstuffs, right? So apart from that, there isn't any. Okay, so Chaturmasya is fine. So there's no thing. Intermittent fasting, I don't know whether you're talking intermittent fasting in a day or within a month. So generally intermittent fasting is not good because it causes acidity, it increases acid levels. So try to avoid intermittent fasting. In fact, your diet must be very regular in nature. Let's say if you're regularly having 4 hours gap between diets, you should continue to have 4 hours. 5 hours is fine. Suddenly you can't have 8 hours of dieting and then suddenly eat in a shorter duration. So that should be avoided. Okay. How to develop self-control. So we talked about it. It must be to take Chaturmasya. Okay. Yeah. So there are certain asanas in Yogasana for mind control. You can practice them. So we can send you certain names of those asanas, which will give you mind control. And you can go and ask your tutor, or you can look at YouTube for those asanas and then accordingly practice them. Okay. But pranayama is the best asana for mind control, and there's no doubt about it. Okay. Timings of the meal we talked about. Sir, how do you do meditation with full concentration? Yeah, so meditation with full concentration is very difficult, right? Because Krishna says, Chanchalam hi mana Krishna pramati balavatrita. So the mind is chanchal, it keeps moving around everywhere. So Arjuna says, hey, I can control the wind, but I can't control the mind. So mind control is very difficult. But what is that you can achieve is, whenever you see the mind is deviating, going somewhere, drag it and get it back to whatever you want to focus on. So for example, let's say you're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, the best recommended process of meditation is just hear what you're chanting, nothing else. But the mind may go off somewhere. It may think about your office work or some financial matters or paying your electricity bills and things like that. It may go, no problem. Just drag it and forcefully get it back. Hear what I'm chanting. So by continuous practice of this, you will see your meditation improves. Okay. Prabhu, how can we find out organic fruits, vegetables? Is it really organic grown? Likewise, A2 milk. So now today, A2 milk, there are a lot of certified farmers are there who are producing A2 milk. You can do that. And there are also organizations who are giving certification. For example, we have organizations like Namdaris and others who are giving certification on their A2 milk. So you can use that to do it. Otherwise, if you know someone who can deliver you milk, you can do the A2 milk also like that. Okay. So now we have a lot of organic stores. You can go there and buy these fruits and vegetables. As simple as how to identify an organic fruit or vegetable. Non-organic fruit or vegetable will look like a factory product. Everything will look even, will look very beautiful, colorful. A really organic product doesn't look like that, right? Because it's naturally grown and the pest and things are only natural pests. So there is a difference in the way they look. So by look only you can find out whether it's organic or not. Okay, is there any particular way to follow spiritual science? So our Savarna Gaur Hari Prabhu is doing this program, and through this program you'll be associated with one guide, and he will take you through the entire methodology of how to learn spiritual science. Okay. How to eat before sunset and save energy? No, it's not save energy, and sun is the source of the energy. We use the sun's energy in order to increase our digestion, metabolic activities. After sunset, our digestion, metabolic activities comes down. So when it comes down, if you consume food, that results in deposits in your body. That's the cause of the problem. Okay. Organic foods are there in India. Every market have a content. Yes, there is a problem. So you need to have some source to get to it. Now there are two kinds of food. One is organic, another is called as a GAP foods. That means general practices. So you can do that. That means they will not, they will follow certain European standards in terms of application of pests and chemicals, which are approved. So you can do that also. You can try them. They are available on the internet. There is a company called satvicfoods.com, something like that. You can try that. How is it possible to eat daily organic food? Every food can be grown organically. So you can eat millets, you can eat all these things. So it's not a problem. After how long should we drink water after a meal? Yeah, you can drink after a 5-minute gap. It's okay. But do not over drink water. You need to just drink about 1.5 cups of water. That's it. Can we take water? So what timing of meal you prefer? We answered that. We answered negative thoughts. How to consume Gomutra? Because it's hard to consume directly. So you shouldn't consume Gomutra directly. It is very strong. So you can take Gomutra and then take 1 cap of the Gomutra. 1 cap of Gomutra will be about 5 ml, 5 to 8 ml. That 5 to 8 ml must be diluted into 1 glass of water. The glass of water is about 150 ml to 200 ml, right? That water should not be cold, it should be warm. In that warm water, you can dilute this and you can consume. So then it is not all difficult. That's what you need in your body. You don't need more than that. And only once a day, preferably in the empty stomach in the morning. Excellent source of health improvement in your body. Okay. Hare Krishna Prabhu, what happens if you miss the Paran timing while observing Ekadasi fast? Also, while breaking the fast, can I have dal rice? Okay, so there are multiple concepts about this. So in Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya, we avoid grains on Ekadasi, right? Grains in any form, whether in the full form or broken form. So dals are considered grain in the same category, rice, all these things are in category. So we can't have them on Ekadasi. Okay. So Paran time missing. So we generally don't miss the Paran timing. It is told that if you miss the Paran timing, the full benefit of fasting Ekadasi doesn't come to us. So what we generally do is we take a packet of rice and we offer to Lord Jagannath or Gaurnita or someone, and then keep it with us. If you're traveling, you can just keep it in your pocket or bag. So if you know the timing, you can just take 1 rice. It is enough. You've broken the fast. Then you can eat at whatever time you want. So that way you can do. Water drink before sleep, hot milk. So milk after sunset is not good because milk causes kapha. It increases kapha in your body. But milk in the daytime is excellent source of nutrition. So try to avoid milk after sunset, but have it during the daytime. Okay. Water 1:3 ratio, we talked about it. 5 ml of Gomutra in 1 glass of water, which is 150 ml of water. So that's the ratio. Okay. I think classifying thoughts is not worth, but if one's under the lotus feet of Krishna, one's thoughts and senses are controlled by the Supreme. Okay, I don't know what the question is. Why not curd? Milk has some defects in the 3rd month, but why not curd? So, Amit, I'm not able to understand your question. So, looks like you're talking about Chaturmasya. Why not curd? Milk has some defects in 3rd month. No, the question is not clear. Okay. Chanting one kind of purify heart, right? Yes, it nourishes your heart, it purifies your mind, soul, and the body. Okay. Why mind going to overthinking? So the mind is going to overthinking because in the course of the day or in the course of our life, we are constantly associated with the 3 modes of material nature, and accordingly, we are doing various activities. So the mind is trying to go and do those activities again and again, and that's the reason. Okay. So drinking water after meals. So Ayurveda says about 30 minutes gap after having your food, you can have a cup of water, which is the best suited, right? And that too, the water should not be cold; it should be warm. If you take cold water, the Agni is put off, so it's not good. Okay. Yes, you can have, this is from Mugda Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji, not on fasting, but while breaking Kalsi, you can have rice after offering to the Lord. Yes, you can have. But you can keep some rice which is offered in a packet, because if you're not able to meet the time, you can just take that one piece of rice. So you officially broken the fast, but you can have, meal or whatever. How to increase deep sleep? So very important. Whatever activities you want to have, like exercise, walking, and other engagements in your work and things like that, you can be very active up to evening. After evening, try to avoid intensive activities. You can read some sattvic books, and you can have pleasant conversation with others, or you can do some kirtan. Like that, you can end your day. Yeah. I think mostly I've done. Thank you so much.
I have a question here privately on the chat. Thank you, Sundarup Shampoo, for nicely taking all the questions in quick time. Here is one question which came to me privately, saying that, Prabhu, we all know soul has no gender, then why material body having gender? Yeah. So this we'll be discussing in the later part of this modules. Of course, that's true that soul has no gender, but soul wants to enjoy this material world. Right? So when it wants to enjoy this material world being separate from the Lord, then it gets a material body. So now, in order to create a mechanism for procreation in this world, to populate this world, a self-sustaining system, Lord has created two genders, male and female, Purusha and Prakriti. And through that, Lord populates the entire world. So that Brahmaji, when he was wondering how to increase the population, from his body came two personalities, Manu and Shatrupa. And from these two personalities, all the Manushya Kula. And you will see that this male and female genders are there in every species. And through that, procreation happens and the souls get new bodies. So it's an amazing system of the Lord. It's a very inconceivable and very astonishing system. And this keeps the living entity bound in this material world. Right? So we'll discuss more about this in future when I talk about science of soul in the third module. But in brief, to explain it, this world is called Maithuni Agar, where people are caught up in this attraction between the opposite sexes. And that's the jail. Generally in jail, one is bound up by shackles to the hands and the legs, handcuffs. So, but in this world, people are bound by attachment to each other. And that makes it difficult to go back to the spiritual world. So that's why there are genders in this material world. But actually, soul has no gender. Soul is spiritual. And soul's gender is to serve the Lord. Its only duty is to love and serve the Lord. So that's the answer to that question. Yeah. Yeah. Is there any question? Yeah? Prove my mind is okay. If I desire to do yoga, first 5 days only I do, and after 5 days I can't do. How to continue that yoga? How improve self-control? Yeah, that's true. This practical question. Actually, we have to be regulated. Like I have made a point that I made a resolution that I'll do yoga, but at least 4 times in a week, minimum. Because I know that every day in a week is not possible. So at least 4 days in a week, in the morning, about 20 to 25 minutes, I take out time and do yoga, pranayam. I have a certain pattern, fixed pattern of steps in pranayam, which I do, which I learned from one of my teachers many years back. And he told me, you do this set and this is sufficient for you. So I practice that at least 4 times a week. Sometimes it may be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday. Sometimes the days may change a little bit depending upon the engagements I have. But at least I try to do it 4 days. So like that you can do. So instead of doing rigidly every day, you might fix up few days in a week. That's also good. Yeah. So I think we have done with most of the questions. And a lot of questions came on Chaturmasya. Chaturmasya is the 4 months, which is Shravana, Ashada, then Ashwina and Kartik. These 4 months, which has started. I don't know, Gaudiya Vaishnava calendar has started. I don't know, other calendars will start soon after Amasya. So these 4 months are considered to be very auspicious months. And generally people don't travel in this month, especially sannyasis, they don't travel in this month and they stay in one place and they do a lot of sadhana. Because whole year they have been traveling and and spreading the message of God. So these 4 months they take a break, they stay, and it's also rainy season, it's difficult to travel. So they take a break and they do a lot of spiritual austerities, and which involves giving up some items and doing more spiritual activities. Like one gives up green leaf vegetables or curd and milk and urad dal because it contains high amount of protein and it is not advisable to take high protein in Kartik month. So like that, the 4 uh, uh, um, restrictions are there, and lot of japa, tapa, reading and hearing can be done in these 4 months. So that's what is Chaturmasya Vrata, right? So it's not very strict for family people. Generally, sannyasis do this Vrata very strictly. But in Shri Prabhupada, in ISKCON, he told that yes, one can do a lot of preaching, one can do a lot of spiritual activities and reading Bhagavad Gita. And especially in Purushottamas also one can read Purushottam Yoga chapter, 15th chapter, and also recite some stotras in that way. One can practice Purushottamas also. So these are some points which I wanted to add to what Sundararup Shampu already said. So thank you, Hare Krishna, for all of you for staying long and asking a lot of questions. I hope you are satisfied. So every day we'll have this till 7 o'clock. We'll have our presentations, and after that, those who want to have questions, ask questions. They can stay back. So thank you so much. And tomorrow we'll meet again. And tomorrow we'll be discussing on the topic Yoga for Modern Age. And we'll also meet some of your facilitators tomorrow. Okay. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Sundararup Shampu. Thank you for
Hare
joining.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.